Let's go to page 72. We're going to start moving on now real fast. We have accomplished most of the things necessary for us to be able now to get on with the rest of the program. On page 72, chapter 6, into action. Having made our personal inventory, what shall we do about it? We've been trying to get a new attitude, a new relationship with our Creator, and to discover the obstacles in our path. We have admitted certain defects. We have ascertained in a rough way what the trouble is. We've put our finger on the weak items in our personal inventory. Now these are about to be cast out. This requires action on our part, which when completed will mean that we have admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our defects. And we got to stop and look. Step 5 says the exact nature of our wrongs. But if you'll notice here in the narrative dealing with step 5, he said exact nature of our defects. And people used to ask Bill, how come? You've got defects in step 6, you talk about them in step 5, you got wrongs in step 5, you never say wrongs anymore, and by the way, Bill, what shortcomings in step 7? And we've heard meetings go on for hours on the difference in these. And again, Bill would always rear back and smile and say, when I took English and writing courses in college, they told me not to use the same words over and over. He said they all mean the same thing. In step 4, we're going to find those things that block us off from God. In step 5, we're going to discuss them with another human being. In step 6, we're going to become ready to get rid of them. And in step 7, we're going to ask God to take them away. And he said it really doesn't make any difference what you call them. You can call them a fault, a mistake, a defect, a shortcoming. Watch him. He's going to use these words interchangeable, never paying any attention to where they fall. This is the first instance of it. This brings us to the 5th step in the program of recovery mentioned in the preceding chapter. Well, this is perhaps difficult, especially discussing our defects with another person. He did it again right there. We think we've done well enough in admitting these things to ourselves. There's doubt about that. In actual practice, we usually find a solitary self-appraisal insufficient. Many of us thought it necessary to go much further. We will be more reconciled to discussing ourselves with another person when we see good reasons why we should do so. The best reason first, if we skip this vital step, we may not overcome drinking. And that's about as good a reason as I can think of. But now he tells us why that's true. Time after time, newcomers have tried to keep to themselves certain facts about their lives. Trying to avoid this humbling experience, they've turned to easier methods. Almost invariably, they got drunk. Having persevered with the rest of the program, they wondered why they failed. Well, we think the reason is that they never completed their house cleaning. They took inventory all right, but hung on to some of the worst items in stock. They only thought they had lost their egoism and fear. They only thought they had humbled themselves, but they had not learned enough of humility, fearlessness, and honesty in the sense we find it necessary until they told someone else all their life story. Now there's the statement that screwed us up in step 4. We read that about all your life story, so we went back to 4 and started writing our life story. And we can see that 95% of our life story really didn't have anything to do with our drinking, but it very effectively covered up the 5% that did. If I have shared my resentments, if I'm making my inventory, inventorying those things in my head as I make that inventory, those resentments didn't come in there just today. They've been popping in there as far back as I can remember. Yesterday, last week, last month, last year, 10, 15, I've shared all my life story resentment-wise. If I've shared my fears didn't come just today. They've been ingrained in my head throughout my entire lifetime. I've shared all my life story fear-wise. If I've shared my harms done to other people, I didn't hurt them just today. I've been hurting people all my life. My mother told me one time, she said, Charlie, I had a hard time loving you. She said, you're the meanest kid I ever saw. And I've been hurting people forever. And I've shared all my life story harms-wise. In the 3 basic areas that cause me to drink, resentment, fear, and harms done to other people, I have shared all my life story. When a guy comes to me with the 5th step, I don't really care what year he was born in. That just doesn't make any difference to me. I really don't even care where he grew up or where he went to school. What I am interested in is, what are your resentments doing to you? What are your fears doing to you? What are these harms doing to you? Have you been able to look at those honestly and truthfully? And I think we're going to find that most of us, that we can only do the best we can do in step 4. We simply cannot be honest with ourselves. Let's face it, we are the world's greatest con artists. You have to be. If you're a practicing alcoholic, you better learn how to lie, how to manipulate, and how to con people. You cannot exist without it. And I think the one that we have to con the most is ourselves. You know, we've seen what we were doing with resentments, how we used that resentment to transfer blame from us to other people. I don't think we could live with ourselves if we did not have that ability to do so. Now, why would I think in step 4 that old Charlie's going to be 100% honest with Charlie? No, impossible for me to do that. He said, more than most people, the alcoholic leads a double life. He's very much the actor. To the outer world, he presents his stage character. This is the one he likes to see. He wants to enjoy a certain reputation, but knows in his heart he doesn't deserve it. You know, we can go to work in the morning, and we're sicker than those people laying up there in the hospital. And somebody said, how you doing this morning? Oh, we just straighten up and smile and say, great, doing, and God almighty, we're dying inside. We are the world's greatest actors. The inconsistency is made worse by the things he does on his sprees. Coming to his senses, he's revolted at certain episodes he vaguely remembers. These memories are a nightmare. He trembles to think someone might have observed him. As fast as he can, he pushes these memories far inside himself. He hopes they will never see the light of day. He is under constant fear and tension, and that makes for more drinking. Psychologists are inclined to agree with us. We spent thousands of dollars for examinations. We know but few instances where we've given these doctors a fair break. We have seldom told the whole truth, nor have we followed their advice. Unwilling to be honest with these sympathetic men, we were honest with no one else. Really doesn't make any sense. But we alcoholics will go to a psychiatrist and pay him $75, $100 an hour, lay down on the couch, and lie to him the whole damned hour we're laying there. Then there's no way that I can really be honest with me in step 4. I can only do the best I can do. One of the reasons for step 5, and maybe the most important reason, is for me to extract every bit of information about me that I can from my step 4. I take my step 4 to another human being who's walked the walk before me, who knows 4 and 5 according to the big book, who understands what I'm trying to find. And that person, looking at it from an outside view, can look at it honestly where I cannot. And I was amazed at how many things that person changed on my inventory. You know, I said this was caused by fear. He said, no, this is plain damn dishonesty. That's all this is. I said, this was caused by the sex instinct. He said, oh no, you're just trying to build your self-esteem. And he helped me see things that I could not see. Now, I know confession is good for the soul, but the main purpose of 5 is to learn all I can learn about me in order to know what I need to work on in the future. I'm amazed today. I've been practicing this now for 20 years. And I don't trust me today. You know, you can be sitting there with a $100 bill sticking out of your pocket, and I can walk by you and steal it, and by the time I've reached the door, I figured out a reason why I needed to do that. And by the time I'm through the door, I've already figured out how I've done you a favor taking your $100. Now let's be honest with each other. That's the kind of people we are. And step 5 is very important in order for me to see things that I could not see otherwise. Joe?
We must be entirely honest with somebody we expect to live long and happily in this world. Rightly and naturally, we think well before we choose a person whom we take this intimate and confidential step. And here the book is going to be talking about how to find someone to do this with. That's not a problem today because we all have a lot of sponsors around the program. We're hopefully somebody who understands the big book inventory. Now that you understand this, you can help someone else with step 5.
You guys are going to be the step 5ers of the future.
You know,
that's what's beautiful about this weekend. You're going to know how to do step 5 with another human being when they come to you with their step 4.
But remember, and when the book was written, there wasn't any sponsors around in 1939. It didn't say go to your sponsor because there wasn't any around. So this page relatively is just like it was. It was to help the new reader in 1939 find somebody to do it with. And it's still here, and it still has some good things on it. He says, those of us belonging to religious domination which requires confession must, of course, want to go to the properly appointed authority whose duty it to receive it in that particular religion. Though we have no religious connection, we may still do well to talk to someone in an ordained established religion. It suggests that maybe they can still go to a church or somewhere and meet somebody in religion. We often find such a person quick to see and understand our problem. Of course, we sometimes encounter people who do not understand the alcoholic. And well, surely that was true at that time, and still might be. Now, he said, if we cannot or would not rather do this, we search out acquaintance or a close-mouthed, understanding friend. Can you imagine having to take a step 5 with a friend of yours? It's pretty tough. Going to work and say, hey man, can I take step 5 at lunchtime with you? You know, they had it pretty rough. Perhaps a doctor, a psychologist would be the person. Now he's running out of good suggestions. Listen to the next one. It may be one of your own family, you know. But I mean, you can remember, you know, you could see, we can realize what those people were up against with step 5 when the book first came out, and AA didn't exist. Now, once we have found somebody, that's not a problem today. On page 75, this is how we do it. When we decided who was to hear our story, we waste no time. We have a written inventory. We got all this information. We are prepared for a long talk. We explain to our partner what we are about to do and why we have to do it. He should realize we engage on a life and death errand. Most of people approaching this way would be glad to help. They would be honored by our confidence. We pocket our pride and go to it illuminating every twist of character. We look at each one of these things in the 4th column, which is a twist of character. Every dark cranny of the past. Once we have taken this step with holding nothing, we are delighted. We can look the world in the eye. We can be alone at perfect peace and ease. Our fears fall from us, and we begin to feel the nearness of our Creator. We may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now we begin to have a spiritual experience. The feeling that the drink problem had disappeared will often come strongly. We'll feel we are on a broad highway walking hand in hand with the Spirit of the universe. Now these are promises. These are promises already. We talk about the promises later on, but these are promises. And these things come after. We can see this is the greatest set of personality changes. The second set of personality changes come after step 5. It says we had certain spiritual beliefs. We came to believe at step 2. But now we begin to have the spiritual experience. The spiritual experience begins after step 5, not after step 3 when we just make a decision. But after we put some work into it through steps 4 and 5, the spiritual experience begins after step 5.